African cinema. Bakari, thank you so much for your time. Great to be speaking to you. Now, you teach African cinema. What are the three most important things that you teach your students about the world of African cinema?
The three most important things that I teach my students, the first one is a film as a means or a tool for political and cultural liberation. And that by showcasing how African cinema has contributed to the liberation struggle of countries in Africa fighting for political independence in the 1960s through the 80s. In that sense, film is a critical element of political liberation. And also, in the subsequent years of nation-building efforts, because once African countries gain their independence, now you are in the nation-building efforts, which means how do you pull together linguistic and ethnic communities in a nation framework? And film has been an instrument in achieving that. So, which is kind of feeds into the larger conversation of what's the function of film or cinema, which some people talk about escapism, militancy, or entertainment. But the inception of African cinema should be placed in that context of militancy and fighting to gain independence and also to give dignity to African people. That's the first thing. The second for me is really the importance of representation. To see oneself on the screen, to see one story being told from one's perspective is very critical in constructing one's identity, but also to be able to confidently engage with the world. And film has allowed that for Africa, obviously after the end of colonialism, where they've gone through erasure of history, erasure of identity. And the third most important thing that I teach my students is the sweeping structural changes that is really going through the landscape of African cinema today. The first one is simply what I call the intervention of media giant in African cinema. We have a case most known for the case of Netflix, which started as a platform that acquire simply African titles, but now it has moved into producing content in Africa. And I'm thinking of the first two Netflix African original series, Queen Sono and Blood and Water, which came out early last year. And so you have that challenge. And the second the second sweeping change is we have more and more accessibility of content through the rise of TV series, because this has not been the case. Because up to the end of the 1990s, TV series in Africa was consumed mostly in foreign TV series. But starting from the early 2000s, we have the rise in the production and circulation of TV series. And the third, in terms of sweeping changes, is how video and digital technologies has really revolutionized production and distribution on the continent. Because in the prior years, I'm thinking about before 2000, you have to go to film school mostly in Europe, in the West, to make films, but not now anymore because you have accessible equipment. And in terms of distribution, it used to be the festival circuit. That is really the main, distribution network. But now we have more venues to show.
Give us an idea of who you're teaching. Who's interested in learning about African cinema these days?
in my African cinema classes, those are mostly minorities. When I say minorities, and I have a lot of African students in my class, and those are sometimes first generation immigrant or second generation immigrants, and I also have many African American students in my class, because I remember last year in a very, I would say, hard, okay, melts my heart when I received an email from a student who said, thank you so much, Professor, for exposing me to film from the continent. And my mom also sent you her best regard, because all throughout, the semester, I didn't know that, okay, her mom was also, following the class, watching the movie, and, everything. So that's one of, I don't know, bonus of teaching online. You don't know who is on the other end. Yes.
Now, of course, a lot has changed in the landscape of African film. A lot has changed on the continent. A lot has changed in the world. What are the trends that you're seeing about the kind of stories and subjects that African filmmakers are tackling right now?
Right now, what we're tackling are mostly what I call transnational issues. The first one that comes to my mind is migration. And I'm thinking of a film, Atlantics, by Mati Diop, 2019. And also, I'm thinking of extremist violence, which is also fits in the category of transnational